The story of Nirvana is not just a musical history, it is a cultural earthquake. Born from the damp, gray isolation of the Pacific Northwest, the band, centered on the tormented genius of Kurt Cobain, became the unwitting voice of Generation X, fundamentally reshaping the sound and aesthetic of rock music in the early 1990s. Their journey was as brief as it was brilliant, a compressed supernova of punk energy, pop melody, and profound dissatisfaction. The genesis in grime, 1987-1989. The roots of Nirvana stretch back to Aberdeen, Washington, a struggling logging town far removed from the music industry capitals. Here, two young outsiders, the artistic and deeply sensitive Kurt Cobain, vocals, guitar, and the towering, politically aware Chris Novoselic, bass, forged an unlikely friendship over a shared love of punk rock, the Melvins, and the noise rock scene bubbling up in nearby Seattle. Cobain, restless and often homeless, used music as his primary outlet for his deeply felt alienation. After several false starts under names like Skid Row and Ted Ed Fred and a revolving door of drummers, Cobain and Novoselic settled on the name Nirvana in early 1988, a term rooted in the Buddhist concept of transcendent peace, a deliberate and ironic contrast to their raw, aggressive sound. In January 1988, with drummer Dale Crover of the Melvins temporarily filling in, Nirvana recorded their first demos with producer Jack Endino in Seattle, costing the paltry sum of $152.44. These early recordings caught the attention of Sub Pop Records, the fledgling independent label that was defining the nascent grunge sound. The addition of drummer Chad Channing solidified the trio long enough to record their debut album, Bleach, released in June 1989. The album was recorded quickly, costing just over $600. It was a heavy, sludge metal-influenced record, showcasing Cobain's burgeoning songwriting talent, particularly on the surprisingly melodic tracks like About a Girl. While it sold modestly by major label standards, Bleach was a critical success in the underground, establishing Nirvana as a key player in the thriving Seattle scene alongside bands like Soundgarden and Mudhoney. The band toured relentlessly, navigating the low-budget, high-energy world of independent rock, a stark foreshadowing of the chaotic lifestyle that awaited them. The defining trio and the sound of a generation, 1990-1991. Despite the success of Bleach, creative tensions over Channing's drumming style led to his departure. The search for a new drummer ended decisively in September 1990 with the arrival of Dave Grohl, formerly of the Washington, D.C. hardcore band Scream. Grohl's powerful, precise, and dynamic drumming style immediately clicked with Cobain and Novoselic, completing the lineup that would become one of the most famous in rock history. Novoselic famously recalled, "We knew in 2 minutes that he was the right drummer." With the new lineup, Nirvana began writing what would become their masterpiece. Sensing their ceiling had been reached on an independent label, they signed with the major Geffen Records in 1990. The band recorded their second album, Nevermind, in May 1991 with producer Butch Vig. Cobain had consciously aimed for a sound that blended the raw fury of punk with the melodic structure of pop, a challenge to the established aesthetics of both the underground and the mainstream. When Nevermind was released on September 24, 1991, its impact was immediate and transformative. The lead single, Smells Like Teen Spirit, was an undeniable anthem, characterized by its iconic, quiet, loud dynamic. A soft, almost whispered verse exploding into a massive, distorted, shouted chorus. The song captured the angst, frustration, and irony of its generation. The accompanying music video, a chaotic, anarchic high school pep rally, dominated MTV airwaves. The success was unprecedented. Nevermind was expected to be a niche alternative hit, but by January 1992, it had dethroned Michael Jackson's Dangerous from the top spot on the U.S. Billboard 200 chart. Nirvana had not just achieved success, they had triggered a cultural revolution. They were credited with single-handedly collapsing the reign of hair metal and making alternative rock the new commercial mainstream. Major successes from Nevermind, Smells Like Teen Spirit, the definitive anthem of grunge, peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100. Come As You Are, a haunting psychedelic track and a major international hit. Lithium, explosive manic energy capturing Cobain's mental turbulence. In Bloom, a sardonic commentary on their new, clueless audience. The Burden of Fame, 1992-1993. The sudden, colossal fame profoundly disoriented Cobain, who felt uncomfortable with his status as a reluctant superstar and spokesman for a generation he barely understood. He struggled with chronic stomach issues, depression, and a rapidly escalating heroin addiction. The band's punk ethos was now at odds with their status as millionaires on a major label. In 1992, Cobain married Hole frontwoman Courtney Love, and their turbulent, highly scrutinized relationship became tabloid fodder. Their daughter, Frances Bean Cobain, was born the same year. This tension fueled the creative direction of their third and final studio album, In Utero, released in September 1993. Cobain deliberately sought to create a raw, unpolished, and abrasive record to alienate the more superficial fans who had only latched onto the pop sheen of Nevermind. They hired Steve Albini, known for his harsh, unforgiving production style, to capture a sound that was organic and natural rather than glossy. The album title and several track titles reflected Cobain's internal struggle and cynicism. Rape Me was a brutal commentary on media intrusion, while Heart-Shaped Box was a complex, beautiful meditation on his relationship with love. The album was a commercial and critical success, debuting at #1 globally, proving that even a deliberately difficult record could not shake Nirvana's cultural dominance. Major successes from In Utero. Heart-Shaped Box, a powerful cinematic single that showed Cobain's continued melodic growth. All Apologies, a quiet, acoustic-tinged closer that served as a haunting farewell. Rape Me, a controversial but searing commentary on vulnerability and exploitation. The Swan Song and the Final Curtain, 1993-1994. Despite the success of In Utero, the band's touring schedule was punishing, exacerbated by Cobain's deteriorating physical and mental health. However, in late 1993, Nirvana delivered what is widely regarded as their most poignant and essential performance. On November 18, 1993, the band recorded MTV Unplugged in New York. The set list was deliberately unconventional. They avoided playing most of their biggest hits, opting instead for deep cuts and an array of covers, including songs by the Vaselines, Meat Puppets, whose members joined them on stage, and David Bowie. The performance of Bowie's The Man Who Sold the World became the emotional centerpiece of the show. Staged in a stark setting adorned with lilies and black candles, which Cobain requested, saying he wanted it to look like a funeral, the intimate, stripped-down setting showcased the raw power and vulnerability of Cobain's voice and songwriting, often lost in the wall of distortion. The album, released posthumously, would become a definitive testament to Cobain's talent. Nirvana embarked on a European tour in early 1994. The last show was held at Terminal 1 in Munich, Germany, on March 1, 1994. The performance was noticeably strained due to Cobain's illness. The final song of the show was a cover of The Cars' My Best Friend's Girl, though the final truly iconic Nirvana song performed in their final main set was the intense and weary Heart-Shaped Box. The remainder of the tour was canceled due to Cobain's ongoing health issues. Just over a month later, on April 5, 1994, Kurt Cobain died by suicide at his home in Seattle. The news sent shockwaves across the globe, cementing Nirvana's legacy as a brilliant, troubled, and eternally influential force whose run was tragically cut short. Post-Nirvana legacy. The band's career spanned just 7 years, but its impact is immeasurable. Nirvana popularized alternative rock, fundamentally changed the music industry, and inspired millions of musicians to embrace authenticity over polished commercialism. The remaining members continued to make music. Dave Grohl formed the hugely successful Foo Fighters, carrying the torch of stadium rock into the 21st century. Krist Novoselic remained active in various musical and political endeavors, often advocating for electoral reform. Nirvana's collected works, including the posthumous releases like the comprehensive box set with the Lights Out and the live album From the Muddy Banks of the Wishkah, continue to sell millions, confirming their status as rock and roll icons. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014, their influence visible in every subsequent generation of rock, punk, and independent artists. Nirvana remains a tragic, brilliant, and essential chapter in the history of modern music.